Okay, we finished 26, right? All the way? Yeah. All right, let's look at 27. It says, what is the value of X in the solution? So we're looking for X, but the key word here is what? Solution. Now you have equations in two equations in standard form. You know that whenever you have two straight lines, the solution is considered what? Where they what? The point of intersection. Intersect. We're trying to find where they intersect. Now both of these equations, if you look at it, both X and Y are on the same side. Both X and Y are on the left side. So that means that these are written in what form? Standard form. And if they're in standard form, what can you use to find the answer? Matrix. Matrix. All right, so let's go ahead and put that into matrix. Turn on my little LCD. Turn it on. Here it is. Matrix. Go to edit. Make sure it's in 2 times 3. Put your numbers. Don't forget that that's a negative 12. And I'm actually going to do all the calculator parts because I want to make sure that that's included in the video. Most important step that everybody forgets is what? Second quit. Math. Find BRIF. Hit enter once. Second matrix. Enter, enter. So you should get point what? 333 and negative 0.666. 67. Okay. Now, since if you look at the answer choices, you notice that all of your answer choices are in what form? They're in the form of a fraction. So what can I do to convert this back to a fraction? Math, enter, enter. And it actually works for matrix. So math, enter, enter. Math, enter, enter. And it'll give you 1/3 at the top, negative 2/3 at the bottom. So 1/3 at the top, negative 2/3 at the bottom. I'm screwed because both of those are answer choices. So they're asking specifically for the value of X. Which one is X? Which one is Y? Top one's X, bottom one's Y. If X comes first, top number is X. Y comes next, bottom number is Y. Questions? All right. Next. Raise your hand if you need me to stop or if you need extra time. All right, so they want us to write an equation, but all they give us are what? 2 points. 2 points are not an equation, but what can I do to start forming an equation? It cannot be point slope because I have a point, but I don't have slope. Good. You have to find the slope of the line. You could use y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Now, in all reality, about half of us still don't know how to use that formula. So there is an easier way that I have already taught you, and that's why I'm going over it, because I've already taught it. If I hadn't taught it, I wouldn't be going over this. Put it in a table. And the reason I tell you guys to put it into a table is because most people will try to put the 1 and the 3 top and bottom instead of side to side. It is still an X and a Y value. This is my X2, Y2. It is still an X and a Y value, so they're still supposed to be side to side, not up and down. Like 1. So 1 on one side, 3 on the other. Separate them. -2 on one side, 5 on the other. Now it should look familiar. What can I use to find the slope from this? We've seen it before. Using the calculator. Yeah, stat. Stat edit. Plug this into stat edit. Stat edit, stat calc. So I'm gonna go stat edit. As long as you line up your numbers correctly, you should be fine. So there's my 1, 3 separated as an ordered pair, X and Y, and then your -2, 5. After you put your numbers, where do you go? Stat calc 4. So we're gonna go back to stat, go to calc, and we always pick number 4. Remember, by the end of the year, you're gonna learn how to use 3 different options in that screen. What do I do in store? Alpha trace, enter, enter, enter. But right now, all we need is the what? Slope. So the slope is -0.66. I'm gonna go ahead and put a 7. Now, unfortunately, if you try to type in -0.667, hit math, enter, enter, it's not going to change it to a fraction. This is just one of those fractions that you should know. What is -0.67 as a fraction? -2/3. So I have a slope. I can use one of the points, any point. And now what can I do? Point slope form. So y minus the y value, which is 3, equals the slope times x minus the x value, which is 1. Do I have any double negatives? Nope. So I can continue by multiplying, by distributing. Y minus 3, -2/3 times x, -2/3 x, put it together. Always keep in mind that whenever 2 negatives make a positive, whenever you are using point slope form, the slope never changes. Which in all actuality, even if I don't continue with point slope form, I can actually narrow it down to C and D. C and D have that -2/3. So you can at least get that far by yourself. All right, so now the last step is to add the 3. It's a minus, you add. You know you cannot add it to the slope because you should know that when you use point slope form, slope never changes. That's probably the 3rd time I said that today. So, and then 2/3 plus 3. Alpha y equals 2 at the top, 3 at the bottom, plus 3 will give you 11/3. So plus 11/3. And what is my answer? D. Correct. D, 11/3. But this one, shout out to all the people that actually watch my videos. Watch this, guys. Alpha trace, enter, enter, enter. 3.67, that's my y-intercept. So if I change 11/3, alpha y equals 11/3, math decimal, enter, 3.67. So this 11/3 is 0.67. What's up? Good catch, Gabby. So Gabby pointed out that it is a -2/3 and I typed it in as a positive. Good catch, Gabby. -2. Wait, it shouldn't be -2/3 though. It should be 2/3. It should be positive. Watch, hold up. 4, hold on. Oh, so are my answer choices wrong? But 3.67 is 11/3. Yeah, watch, 11 divided by 3, 3.67. No, wait. The 2/3 is positive. The 2, now I'm gonna have to correct this on the video. This 2/3 is positive. The slope is negative and that does not change. But -2/3 times -1 gives you a positive 2/3. Positive 2/3 plus 3 is 11/3. Okay, so no, it wasn't 7/3. Okay, we did it right. We did it right. Moving on. Functions. We did something similar yesterday. What did we have to do? Draw a vertical line. Awesome. So I'm going to draw a vertical line. We got to make sure it doesn't do what? Crosses more than twice. Now, A crosses twice, not it. C crosses once, maybe. B crosses twice, not it. D crosses once. What? Can I have two answers on a STAR test? No. D has a hidden trick part. There is a short vertical line on D. It doesn't matter how short or how long that vertical line is. If you have a vertical line over a vertical line, it's sharing an infinite number of points. It's crossing an infinite number of times. So your answer is C. Your answer is C. You can put a vertical line anywhere else and it's only going to cross once, but because of that little vertical line, not a function. Okay. 30, you were supposed to solve for y. That was what you were supposed to do first. So minus 3x. I didn't solve for y in the other classes because I wasn't making the video. So negative 4y, negative 3x plus 24. And the last step is to divide. We're dividing by a negative 4. So you get y equals positive 3/4x minus 6. Meaning I start at the negative 6, it's positive 3, so up 3/4, up 3/4, up 3 can't go over 4, but I can go down to the left. And there is my line. Now you were asked on your packet to identify 3 parts of this, okay? The first part is the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? It crosses at the negative 6, bringing it down to F and J, but you should also be able to recognize that's negative 6 on the equation. What is the slope? Positive 3/4. This is my slope. So my answer is J because we have a positive 3/4. F has an answer choice with a negative slope. But at the same time, you do need to know how to find it on a graph. Positive 3, we're going up 3/4. Now, just because, what if both of them were positive? What is the 0? 0 is another word for x-intercept. X-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis. Where does it cross? 8. So there's your x equals 8. But just in case they give it to you as an ordered pair, what is an x-intercept? What is 8 as an x-intercept, as an ordered pair? 8, 0, 8, 0. All right, questions? No, moving on. 31, there is a key word, very important key word. What is it? Very in the first sentence. Yeah, you can use that, but I was actually looking at budget. They budgeted no more than. Budget is a limit. Remember, we talked about going on vacation and you having to budget your $300 that you saved. So budget, it's a limit. So can I go over this 3,000? Can I spend exactly 3,000? Yeah, because I have it. It's in my pocket. So exactly, that's where your line comes from. I can eliminate B and C. But since it's a budget, since you cannot go more than, you have to go less. Now, both of those are less. From there, they're actually giving you the variable that they want you to use, with the numbers. They say variable X goes with what topic? Guest table. So I'm going to put an X right next to this 175 that they give me down here. Variable Y goes with family table. I'm going to put a Y next to the number that they give me for the family table, making my answer A, 175X plus 250Y. Somebody asked me in an earlier class, what if it was 250 y plus 175x, that also works as long as the number is with the correct letter, with the correct variable. Questions? All right. All right, next one. When you should have your own graph. It should be already graphed and shaded. Not surprised that not everybody did it. But the very first thing I would check is to see if it's solved for y. Or even if it's not solved, there's something else you can check. What kind of line are you going to use for the first one? Solid. What about the second one? Dotted. So I'm looking for a combination of two lines where one is solid, one is dotted. I can eliminate F because they're both solid. I can eliminate J because they're both dotted. Now from here, you do have to solve to know whether you shade above or below. That part you do have to solve. So because it is solved, because y is by itself, what is the name of this inequality? Greater measurement. Okay, greater. So greater means we shade above. So I'm just going to take my highlighter and outline. I'm going to find the solid line, shade above. So I'm going to find that solid line, shade above it, making it all of this. I'm just going to outline it. Now, once again, make sure it's solved before you do this. The other one is also what? Above. It's greater than above. I forgot to shade above this one as well. Above. Okay. Now the other one is also below. So I find my dotted line, shade above. Now I can tell that my answer is H. I find my dotted line. I just want to double check. I want to confirm that I'm picking the right choice. And I am, because G, the dotted line is shaded below when it should be shaded above. Questions? If you haven't already graphed and shaded, that you can do at home. You can grab the phone, go to YouTube, find that. All right, it says, which of the following ordered pairs is the x and the y-intercept of the function? This is something actually new. I wasn't given a day to teach you this, but there is something that you need to understand about x and y-intercepts. So I'm going to write x-intercept, and then I'm going to write y-intercept. Now, obviously, you can find the y-intercept if you solve for y. That's easy peasy. X-intercept is a little harder. And to find both the x and the y-intercept, you honestly don't have to solve. Watch this. So first thing, go back to that graph in the last one. Draw any x-intercept, doesn't matter, and tell me what is the ordered pair that you write down. Give me an ordered pair for any x-intercept. 4, 0, where x is some type of number, but y is 0. You see that? Y-intercept. Give me any y-intercept. 0, 6. So where x is a 0, but y is some type of number. So this is a y-intercept. This is a y-intercept. This is an x-intercept. This is an x-intercept. I need to know both to solve this, or I need to know both to answer this. Now, I need you to understand that if I were to plug in or substitute a 0 in either the x or the y, and I solve, I can find both my x and my y-intercept. Watch this, or actually work it out with me. First, we're going to go with we're going to change the x value to 0. Okay. You can change either the x or the y and work your way towards the x-intercept and the y-intercept. First, I'm going to change this x to 0. I'm going to substitute. I'm going to change it. I'm going to swap it. Everybody understand what I'm doing? I'm just switching it to 0. So anything that multiplies by 0 is going to cancel out. I'm left with -3y and the 24. What is the last step? Divide. Divide by that -3. So y is equal to -8. because you have that y equals, and because you made the other letter 0, that's your y-intercept, -8, which it doesn't exist. So I have to find the x-intercept. That's why I'm teaching you how to do this. So next thing, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to change the y to a 0 this time. 4x minus 3y equals 24. And I'm actually going to need this space right here. So I'm going to, oh man, go away. Okay. All right, so I'm going to change the y to a 0 this time. I'm going to do the opposite. 4x minus 3 times 0 and 24. What part of this cancels out? The 3. Anything times 0 cancels out. So now I'm left with 4x and 24. How do I finish solving? Divide by 4. And I'm left with x equals what? 6. Notice x equals x-intercept. It's an x-intercept, not just because it's x equals, but because I changed one of the letters to 0. 0, 6. So x is 6, y is 0. Y is -8, x is 0. And there's your answer. They were looking for the x-intercept, okay? You can change either one to a 0. If you solve and end up with x equals, that's an x-intercept. If you solve and end up with y equals, that's a y-intercept. Got it? All right. Everybody got that work copied? All right. Not, you can watch the video again. All right. First thing, without having to solve, you can always check to see if you're looking for a solid or dotted. Which one is it? Dotted. Dotted, so I can eliminate H and J. They're both solid. From there, you have to solve. You have to make sure that the y is by itself before you can tell me if it should be shaded above or below. And for this one, it should be above because that is greater than. And F is the one that's shaded above. That is how your graph should look like on your paper. If you didn't already graph it, do it later. Done. Ready? But you guys have your test tomorrow, so here we go. 35. You have two straight lines on the same graph. What do you even think we're looking for? Where they cross, where they intersect. Now, I noticed that it's not at a perfect intersection. It doesn't cross where there's perfect numbers. But if you look at the key words, it does state approximately. So they know we're not going to find a perfect number. But I am going to find that solution. The solution is the point or both numbers solution, both numbers where the lines cross. So I'm going to go straight down to find my x value. I'm going to go straight down to find that x value. And I notice that it falls right between 1.5 and 2. What number do you find between 0.5 and 2? 1.5 and 2. What's in between 1.5 and 2? In between 1.5 and 2. Thank you, 1.7. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. All right. Now, I'm going to go straight back across. And I notice that that number or that intersection is right in between 80 and 100. What's in between 80 and 100? 90. Now, I've told you guys time and time again, it doesn't matter if we're talking about slope. Doesn't matter if we're talking about systems of equations. Anytime you have a graph that has titles on it, they're going to ask you about the units. They're going to ask you what it's referring to. 1.7 is described in what unit? Hours. 1.7 is described in hours. And 90 is described in miles. Now I can check my answers, okay? Let's look at the first answer choice. It says that it will go approximately 2 hours. Because of that word approximately, I know that 1.7 is close to 2, so I can't knock that one out. 100 miles also close to 2. So I'm going to give this one a maybe. All right. Let's look at the next one. 90 hours. Not it. Definitely not it. Nowhere close to 90 hours. You don't even see 90 hours on the graph. Okay. Next one, 3.25 hours. Is it anywhere close to 3.25? 1.7. I mean, it's closer than 90 hours, but A is still closer. So I'm not going to use that one. Okay. Now let's look at this last one, 1.75 hours. Ooh, that's very, very close. And then 90 miles, exactly what I guessed. So between A and D, which one would you pick? D. D. Find the point of intersection. See if the units match. Usually you're going to be able to find your answers because on one of them, the units won't match. Okay. 36. What is the keyword here? Direct variation. We listed the keywords: direct variation, directly proportional, varies directly. When you see those kind of keywords, you are automatically supposed to think to create a what? Proportion. Now, what is a proportion? How do you create it? You set what? What do you see in a proportion? Two. We did one yesterday. Two fractions. Wow, did we already forget toad and bullfrog? Oh, don't owe me. So now, honestly, we taught it to set up your proportion as y over x, but it really doesn't matter when it's a proportion. So I'm going to leave that in your hands. What do you want to do? Y over x or x over y? What are you going to remember to do? Y over x? Okay. Y over x. Now, the second sentence in this gives you two numbers, meaning it's going to give me my whole fraction. Gives you x is 4, y is 3. Where do I put the 4? Bottom. X's go with x's. 3 goes at the top. The third sentence, the third and final sentence, gives you what is the value of y when x is 10. It only gives you one value, which is x. So I put that at the bottom, meaning we're looking for y. How do you solve this? Cross multiply. So 3 times 10 is? And what do I do with the last number? Divide. Divide by 4. What do you get? 7.5. And there's your answer. But let's pretend that your answers are in fraction form. How do you change that to a fraction? And what is this as a fraction? 15 over 2, just in case, just in case. You can never be too careful. Ready? 37. 15 over 2. 37. You have a keyword. What is that keyword? What do we know about parallel lines? Same slope. If you're talking about equations, you should be thinking same slope. If you're thinking graphs, you should be thinking they don't touch. Okay? Same slope, because I've had like maybe 3 out of 5 classes that have shouted it out. They don't touch. That's true, but not for an equation. Now, they don't give me a slope. Where am I supposed to find this slope? From the equation. So I need to solve this equation first before I can find the slope. And I solve it by subtracting minus 7x. I didn't actually do any solving in the other classes, but once again, my classes are not the only ones watching this. So divided by -2. And you get y is equal to a positive 7 over 2x. 8 divided by -2 is -4. If you don't believe me, type it in your calculator. Calculate 84 for iPhone, the Wabbit for, yeah, the Wabbit. Anyway, so what did we say we needed from this? Just the slope. Okay, I needed the slope. So my slope is 7 over 2. What else do they give me? So if you're given the slope and you're given a point, what can you use? Point slope form. A lot of things use point slope form, x1, y1. So let's plug it in. Hardest part is plugging in. Remember, y minus the y value. The y value is -8. 7/2, x minus the x value, which is -4. The hardest part to understand for a lot of people is that the minus sign already belongs to the equation. So most people forget that, just in case I needed the extra space. Here we go. So what's the first thing that you notice? We have what? Double negatives. So we have to convert those to plus signs. And yes, we see parentheses, so we distribute. That is the next step. So 7/2 times x, 7/2x. Always keep in mind that slope never changes. 7/2 times 4. Put it alpha y equals and multiply. That should give you 14. Last step, you subtract 8. And you always subtract 8 from, or you always change the other number, but never the slope. You're using point slope. Slope never changes. 14 minus 8 gives you a positive 6. Okay. And then there it is. We have 7/2, but there's decimals in here. How do you change it? Math, enter. This one is math, enter, and it'll give you your 3.5. So your answer is A. Now, even if you don't know how to plug in a point slope form, you don't know how to use it, there's another thing that you can use, or there's at least a way to eliminate answers. You have 7/2. You know the slope is 7/2. You know that 2/7 does not match. You know that -7 doesn't match. You know that 2/7 doesn't match, leaving you just with A. But you need to know how to do it all the way, just in case there's 2 7/2s. Got it? Ready? 38. Now, there's a short way to do this. There's an easy and long way to do this. So guess what? I'm going to show you the short way first. Of course, Ms. Ramirez would do that. Short way first. In your instructions on your packet, what did I tell you to do? Correct. Write equations for both lines first. Write equations for both lines. So I'm going to label that one as A. Always two things that you need to write an equation of a line. That is the slope and the y-intercept. This is going to be my line A. So first, the easiest thing to find is the y-intercept. It's intersecting where? At a +1. Now I got to find the slope. To find the slope between 2 points, I use what? Rise over run. And I'm going in what direction? Down 3/1. Down 3/1, making that a -3/1. So if you simplify it, it's just -3. You don't need to leave it as a fraction if you don't need to leave it as a fraction if your answer choices are in equation form, okay? Now let's do B. We find the equation of the line. Once again, the easiest point to find is the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept of the second line? -8. I can go ahead and use these 2 points. What is the slope? You go what? Up or down? Up 3/2. There's no simplifying involved in that one. Now I have the equations of both lines and I can match them, but what do you notice about all of these? They're in what? Your answers are in standard form. And honestly, the easiest thing to do is convert them back to standard form. So that's what we're going to do. How do I move this 3 back over? Plus 3x, plus 3x. And in standard form, you can always compare it to your formula chart. 3x plus y equals 1, because these 3's cancel out. 3x minus y equals 1, not f. 3x minus y, not g. 3x plus y equals 1, 3x plus y equals 1. I've narrowed it down with a one-step equation. Next, we got to convert this one. What's the first step? Subtract 3 over 2x. X comes down first, plus y equals -8. Now, I notice that my slope is still in fraction form. So what do? You multiply by the bottom number, and if the fraction itself is a negative, include it. So yes, -2. And when we multiply, we distribute, meaning you multiply by everything. When you multiply 2 times -3 over 2, you should get positive 3x. -2 times positive 1y minus 2y. And -8 times -2 is positive 16. Your answer is J. Your answer is J. That is the shortest way to do it, if you know how to do that. The easiest way. You have two straight lines on the same graph. What are we looking for? Where they what? Intersect. So if you can't do this, if you have trouble with this, do this. Now they intersect where? 2, -5. They intersect at 2, -5. Now, all of your equations are in standard form. So how do I find the point of intersection when something is in standard form? I use what? Yep. Answers are, because you don't have these written down, answers are in standard. They're in standard form. So if your answers are in standard form, you use matrix. So when you use matrix, you'll see that it matches up, that the point of intersection is 2, -5. Or if you look at the screen, it'll be a 2 here and a -5 here. So the reason I said it was it's easier but longer because everything is, you have to type this in over and over and over again until you get all the way down to J. J is the one that's going to give you that 2, -5. But it is easier if you know how to do matrix, if that's what you learned how to do. Got it? All right, 39. You have this graph. I told you to shade it. The first thing you check, you don't have to be able to solve to know how to do this, is my line solid or dotted? Solid, meaning it has to be underlined so I can eliminate B. You can at least get rid of that. I should have 0% of people picking that answer. Now from there, it's shaded which way? So above means that you're gonna, what? Greater, eliminate A. Now from there, it looks like we're forced to find the equation. The easiest point to find on that equation is the y-intercept, which is 3. Both of those last two answers have a 3, so I can't eliminate anything. So they're really, really gonna force us to find the slope. Now to find the slope, rise over run, we're going up or down. Down is a negative. They're both negative. I still can't eliminate anything. Now I'm really forced to count the boxes. I'm going down how many boxes? Over how many? So my slope is -1 over 5, C. Now, believe it or not, there's still people trying to put that 5 over -1, causing them to get the wrong answer of -5. But yes, it is rise over run. Rise over run, okay? Ready? This next one is an important one. What was the hint that I gave you? We've seen this on a test before, but it's confusing because you have two different sets of y values next to each other. So yes, we are going to separate the tables. So I'm going to make two tables, two x and y tables. I'm going to show you the short way, and then I'll tell you what the easy way is. X and y, x and y. Now, the x values for both tables are going to be exactly the same. So -3, -1, 4, 6. -3, -1, 4, 6. This is the difference. The first table is going to have my y1s. The second table is going to have my y2s. I believe somebody's asleep over there in the corner. No? Got up real quick. So y1s, 11, 7, -3, -7. y2s, -4.5. I thought it was strange that you weren't participating. -3.5, -1, and 0. Now you have two tables. You know where to put those. We recently learned this. Where are you going to put those two tables in? Yes, stat edit. Stat edit. Let me move this out of the way. I can't. There it is. I want the left side of the room to find the first equation, right side of the room to find the right equation. And just for purposes of everybody knowing how to do this, I'm going to find that left one, but you should already have that table copied. So -3, -1, or everybody do the right one. And I'll do this left one since I'm doing it on the screen. 6. Some of you guys are just going to wait for me to type everything in. -3, -7. Oh, Lord. I didn't notice that. Okay, now I'm ready. 11. Are you laughing at me? I laughed at you for falling asleep. Stat, calculate 4. I told her, first of all, I told your side to do the right one, but I told everybody to do the right. All right, so the first equation, y is equal to -2x plus 5, -2x plus 5. Okay. What's that second equation? Y equals what? -2? -3, okay? Shorter way, convert it to standard form. This part applies to any way you do it. You have to find the equation of both of these lines. Shorter way, convert it to standard form. This first equation is a one step. All you have to do is move 2x back over. How do you do it? Plus 2x. 2x plus y equals 5. 2x plus y equals 5, 2x plus y equals 5, 2x plus y equals 5, 2x minus, I can eliminate that one. Let's do the other one. Now, I can't really use this one because it's in decimal form. You can change it using math enter, but what is 0.5 as a fraction? 1/2. So I want to change it to a fraction first. Now, how do I move that 1/2 back over? Correct. Minus 1/2 x. This one, I'm really going to need the space. 2. I'm going to raise this up. Okay. So minus 1/2 x minus 1/2x. In standard form, x comes before y, so -1/2 x plus 1y equals -3. I notice that the slope is still a fraction, so that's going to force me to multiply. Multiply by what number? -2. From there, you multiply, distribute. -2 times -1/2, positive 1x. -2 times positive 1, -2y. And -3 times -2. -3 times -2 is a positive 6. So here it is, x minus 2y, positive 6. X plus 2y, not it. X minus 2y, -6, not it. That is your answer is F. Okay, that is the shorter way. The longer way, you have two equations. You're trying to find where they intersect because it is a system. You have two equations that are solved for y. Where can you put those? You could put them into y equals. You can press second, trace. What number? 5, and it'll give you a point. It'll give you the point where they cross, where they intersect. It'll give you an X and Y value. Now, but since all of these are in what form? Standard, you can't use Y equals, you have to use what? Matrix. And only this first step, this first set is going to give you that same ordered pair. Okay. But imagine having to do matrix on 4 different answers. Okay. This first part, everybody does it. We're almost done. And this one's actually really, the rest of these are really simple. So here we go. 0. 0 is another word for? What is the x-intercept of this one? Where it crosses the x-axis? 2. Done. You have to know that your 0 is your x-intercept. Correlation coefficient. What is the most important step to remember when you're looking for correlation coefficient? You have to turn on what? Your stat diagnostics. You have to turn on your stat diagnostics. When you do that, it'll give you your R equals. And this one for this table will give you R equals 0.976. The 6 rounds that 7 to an 8, so it's C. Find the closest one. 6 rounds that to an 8. And just for fun, this is a strong positive. Okay, I didn't have time to do this one in this class. So I just want to make sure you include this one. Make sure you turn on your diagnostics. You go to mode, go up, move that over and press enter. Don't forget to move that block over from off to on. Okay, then you want to put your points in. If you want to clear something out, up, clear, never press delete because it will get rid of the whole column. So I'm going to type in my values. 250. 260, 300, 350, 450, 525, and then 1500, 1505, 1600, 1650, 1700. 1825, 1875. Bye, see you tomorrow. Stat, calculate number 4. You always want to go to store, alpha trace, enter, enter, enter. And there's your 0.977. Actually, I've been getting a lot of people that told me 96. So 97, let me erase that 6 then. 977. Now this 7 rounds up and changes that 7 to an 8. And there's closest one. And the reason I wanted to address rounding is just because I feel like half of you would probably try to choose 0.95 because it is technically close, but 0.98 is closer. Strong positive, just in case you are asked that on the test. All right, guys, good luck.